Hello and welcome to Epiphytic Cacti. I'm sure you can probably hear some of the fans going in here, but we are actually in generally the place where I keep all of the epiphyllum, the grow space, which would be in my basement. You can see that over here in the far corner again, we have this lattice. What I have here is really just dowels, like, I guess, pretty sturdy dowels that are actually hung from the ceiling. And then the plants hang on the dowels. And one of the reasons why I did that was actually from an experience that I had last year of it being very difficult, I think, sometimes to get in between the plants and stuff. So with the dowels, what it allows me to do is actually just take the dowel and push them out of the way. As an example here, I can just take that dowel and basically move the plant. So if I'm watering and stuff, it's just really easy to kind of move them out of the way if it's necessary. You can see that if we go up here, there are also plants that are hanging. I really was struggling for room here. So I think at this point, it's probably safe to say that I have too many plants. Too many plants. But, you can see that there are also some that are hanging kind of like a level above. And then you can see these grow lights. And what I really have here are these grow lights. They're all kind of spaced out, across the room. So I think that there are maybe 7 of those grow lights down here. So you can see how bright it really is. It's quite bright down here. They definitely do get plenty of light to actually continue actively growing all throughout the winter. If you pan down here, you can see that I have what is a pretty high-powered fan. And I will turn this on so you get an idea, I think, of how high-powered it actually is. It's the kind of fan that you would have, I think, for drying floors and stuff like that. It's just really very strong. And so I actually take the fan and point it down at the floor so that I get air movement all across the floor and all through the room. So the air just keeps moving. I do this for a few reasons. One is actually to prevent any kind of real serious rot issues, pest issues, anything like that, because the plants are so packed, you want to make sure that they have as much airflow as possible in a space like this, especially because they're in a small space. So if I just turn this guy on, there are 3 settings. The highest setting is first, and I usually keep them running on the lowest setting. So there we go. Those are the fans. I have 3 of those fans that are actually spread across the basement. So this is just one of 3. Coming back up here, again, you can see, I think, the beautiful sea of plants. One of the cool things about them being down here, though, versus outside in the pergola, is that I actually get to see the plants. Most of the time in the pergola, they're hanging up there, so I can't really see the plants. You can only see the ones that I keep towards the bottom, which are the younger ones. So going back up there, you can see again, there are several pots that are just kind of still, hanging out from the ceiling. Here you can see, again, we've got just kind of a little aisle of plants here. And then you see that there are some racks that are over here. What's going on in the racks? It's very crowded in there. It's really just very crowded everywhere. But here you can see are the Cacti hage babies, and the Cacti hage babies are also on the other side as well. More of the Cacti hage babies. There you can see in the bottles over there are some little baby seedlings. And you can see some of the younger cuttings are hanging down at the bottom, ones that really haven't rooted and stuff. Now, here's what I like to do. I like to keep cuttings that aren't rooted or of a certain age kind of clustered together. And the reason why I do that is so that it's easier for me to water or not water. So I know full well that all of the cuttings that are down there at the bottom are cuttings that, quite frankly, they are not, I really shouldn't water them very much. So you can see that these are really the only windows that are in my basement are these little teeny tiny basement windows. There's not much light. There's bushes in front of them. They get covered with snow. So really the light that they get to grow down here is truly from the grow lights. So here you can also see that there are some of the little yearling seedlings. There's another tray on the other side of the little yearling seeds, actually 2 trays. And then this is really just kind of like Disocactus row. I like to keep Disocactus together because I think that Disocactus are like really cool in how they grow. I love how a lot of the Disocactus grow, the ones that get like throughout the long canes. They're really beautiful. And then there's a bunch of, I think, rooting Schlumbergera and Rhipsalidopsis that I got from the subscriber in there also. And I keep them together again so that I know not to water those. We kind of move back out here, you know, you can see, I mean, again, kind of a nice view of that. You can also see just how light it is by, I think, the adjustment for the white balance when I put my hand in with the lights. So you can see here too, you know, there was a light up there is a grow light, and then just above us is another grow light. And then down here, I actually have just kind of like this funny little setup that somehow just magically worked. You can see I've got a bin of potting media in there, and I've got a bin of things going on over here. What's going on over here is like insecticidal stuff. There's like a lot of really kind of weird things in here. There is a Selenocerius hanging down here. Here is an Aporocactus. There are some Aporophyllum in here. This is a guy that I actually just got the other day. I think this is just fantastic. It is definitely very, very, very crowded down here. So for the other side of the basement, you can see that the seedling babies, you know, these are all my little seedlings, my little seedling babies, the little sea of them there. We come through this way some more. You can see that there's actually quite a few. There are some big plants in the back over there. And then, you know, there's just really kind of a lot of epiphyllum, I think, up here as well. They're kind of everywhere. They're definitely taking over. I thought they were taking over last year. This year is really interesting. But last year I also had a good chunk of the epiphyllum upstairs. So I had two separate growing spaces. But this year I decided to keep them all downstairs because the ones that were down here just did so much better in general. There we go. So there is this side here, and you can see, you know, again, you see basically like all the dowels and all of the plants are hanging, you know, just really hanging off the dowels and stuff. And then going up here, you can see the grow lights and how they're positioned. And then you can see that there are some more plants just kind of dangling around there. I tend to, if you'll notice, I tend to actually keep all of the plants really kind of away from the grow light area, like kind of far away from it. And again, the reason why there is because they can actually cause some damage if they are too close. So I have a water source down here, which makes, you know, kind of like caring for the plants and growing them down here a little bit easier. So this is another part of my house. This is actually kind of my dining room. And this room has a lot of windows, but does not actually get a lot of light. Let me explain that a little bit better. So this room is actually facing north. So these two windows at the back are north-facing windows, which means that the window that is to my right is actually an east-facing window, and the window to my left is a west-facing window. So here in the east window, you can see that there are really not any epiphytic cacti over there. This room I have a very strong tendency to keep more orchids and stuff like that in, and Hoya, things like that. I keep the orchids because I like the, you know, the flashy winter color, and I think to some degree I like the scent of certain orchids a lot. So I keep them around, I think, for, you know, just personal enjoyment and color throughout what are very long Minnesota winters. Here you can see up there, there's a little Epiphyllum chrysocardium, one of my favorite plants. Truly, I love that plant so much. I have 3. And you can see my new little gnomes. I have recently kind of started collecting gnomes because I think they're so cool. You can see I like a lot of like aeroids, philodendrons, skindapsis, you know, stuff like that. I just kind of let them sort of crawl all over in this room. I like the serious jungle vibe. There you can see more orchids and stuff. You know, they're really just generic phalaenopsis and stuff like that floating around. Here you can see like the biorbs, just pothos hanging around out there. There's some more Hoya hanging around here. Rogue plants hanging around. Again, a few more Hoya, a few more orchids. Here is my Puntioides, my Schlumbergera Puntioides. I definitely, when I move that guy in, because of where I live, I can actually take higher light epiphytic cacti and literally let them grow in a south-facing window all through the winter without any kind of worries about them burning and stuff. The sun intensity is not so much here that some plants like Schlumbergera opuntioides, some of your Selenocereus, anything that might require generally a higher amount of light. The dragon fruit, the Connie Meyer, was growing in a south-facing window all last year. We kind of start like inside of the window. There are actually some Hoya kids hanging out. And then you'll see here we have just a sea of Schlumbergera and Rhipsalidopsis on new plant stands. I just got these. I think they are so fantastic. So I actually bought 4 of these, and you can see how I kind of have them like wrapped around this south-facing window. And I find that is just so ideal to give these guys as much light as really humanly possible, you know, without trying to, I think, just hang them there and really bombard the windows and stuff. So this is just a really excellent, excellent plant stands. I think that, you know, for the sheer volume of plants that you can put on them, it's pretty awesome, I think, for that regard. My pots, my white pots, they are just barely fitting in there. They had to be forced a little bit. So the little white pots that I have they're a little bit too much for that, but that's okay. So it's really beautiful. You can see how, you know, the trees outside and everything, and like how the sun is coming in and it's just kind of dancing across all of these guys. Really beautiful. I really, really, really love these plant stands. It's kind of a strange situation that I have going on in my living room right here, but you can see I've got like the larger Schlumbergera sitting here in this west-facing window. Another Epiphyllum chrysocardium hanging up there. Gymnatia ramulosa. There is a Pseudo-Rhipsalis amazonica, and then there are some larger Rhipsalidopsis down there. There is another south-facing window here, and you will see that there is, again, the same kind of plant setup, those beautiful stands. The same thing that are in the downstairs south window as well. And you can see they're, you know, pretty much arranged the same. And again, we have Rhipsalidopsis and we have Schlumbergera. And I say we need to get in here and take another look at these fantastic Schlumbergera Microsphaerica grafts. I just think that that is so awesome into how they are exploding like that. So super cool. This area is not truly finished yet. You can see that I do have grow lights hanging from the ceiling there. There's actually 3 of them. Those ones don't have fans. And I like those ones more for upstairs because they don't have fans. All the grow lights downstairs, they have fans, and it's really loud and it's kind of unpleasant. Mostly what's kind of going to always be growing in this area, I think I'm going to keep all of the Rhipsalis kids and, you know, like some of the Phyphra and Lepismium, you know, things like that I'm going to grow in here. So there you'll see here, I've got a Phyphra monacantha. I'm not entirely sure what this guy is, but he's really cool. And then I've got a Pilocarpa next to that. Epiphyllum chrysocardium up there in the corner. Absolutely love that plant. You know, just really, really beautiful. Everybody's just dangling around from the ceiling there, just looking absolutely gorgeous. Such gorgeous, beautiful, beautiful plants to have growing in your house. It's just, you know, absolutely gorgeous, wonderful. And you'll see that here I've got, you know, most of the rest of them just kind of clustered in the window for now. And these guys are going to be like this until I get my other 2 plant stands, but those 2 are going to go here. And we're just really going to have kind of like a beautiful Rhipsalis den going through here. I hope you've enjoyed this rather kind of crazy indoor tour. Thank you for watching, and happy cacti growing.